Hello everyone, my name is Exalted One and welcome back to the PTR. Today, kind of special, a hero that I'm really looking forward to. His playstyle is really goofy, he's very fun, does a lot of damage, is right up my alley, has a very high skill cap though and is going to be a little difficult to get used to, but Probius is now on the PTR as of today. The Curious Probe from the StarCraft universe, the little worker drone, if you will, very interesting mechanics and play style, and we're going to take a look at him today. Going to be a little bit long, drawn out, going through all of his talents and abilities and all that, but stick with us and we will get through those. Give you a good perspective on the hero and where he's going to be fitting in. I think that he's going to be extremely strong on maps like Braxis Holdout, like Dragonshire, something that has large areas to set up. Now let's go ahead and set this up for right now. Enemy here, we are going to take it off in the normal Arthas because a talent later on is going to be needing multiple heroes for us to be able to demonstrate. So we are going to put that to Vikings. Let's go ahead and set the level to 20. Keeping a good baseline on every time that we do these videos, which now seems very frequently. Now, he is a very small hero, does not have a traditional mount, so very small hitbox, no traditional mount, but Worker Rush is his overall mount ability. So activate to gain an additional 60% movement speed for 5 seconds. Taking damage and this effect early, but you do passively move 10% faster by hovering over the ground. Now, our Q ability is a straight line skill shot, very long, and that is going to be our Disruption Pulse. At level 20, you fire a burst of energy forward, dealing 398 damage to all enemies it passes through, and hitting the center of a Warp Rift, which is our W, will cause it to explode, dealing additional damage. Only has 75 mana, the 3-second cooldown. Very quick to fire those out. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, fire, and again you can rail out some good damage. I mean, Vikings have very high sustain, so not going to gain a whole lot. Now, our W, Warp Rift. So opens an unstable Warp Rift at a location that takes 1 1/4 seconds to arm, which then slows nearby enemies by 20%, lasting for 9 seconds on the ground. You can lay these down very quickly. They have a 6-second cooldown per charge, and you do baseline get 2 charges of our Warp Rift. And armed Warp Rifts explode when hit by Disruption Pulse, dealing 693 damage to nearby heroes at level 20. You lay it down, there it is active. You can see the slow debuff on those heroes. Boom, and does large damage. Now, one thing you will notice as well is that we are not getting any mana back. At a baseline, we do not gain any passive mana regeneration at all. That is all going to come from our trait, which is Warp in Pylon. Warping in a Pylon generates a power field and grants vision of the surrounding area. Probius only regenerates mana while inside a power field, and you do have 2 available at a time, and they have a 14-second cooldown. But as you can see, the area around it is quite large, so it's not like it's a small area. So very helpful there, and you can lay down and immediately already back to full mana. And essentially when you're in a power field, you're not going to lose mana like at all. It's extremely difficult to do so. This is all kinds of fucked up because we're not at level 2. Now, our E ability, which is Photon Cannon. Warping a Photon Cannon deals 208 damage per second, and that lasts for 11 seconds. Must be placed within a pylon's power field. Deactivates if it doesn't have a pylon. So if they destroy the pylons, which are absolutely something that you can destroy, which we'll go ahead and set there, try and demonstrate that. If they choose to attack it, they're going to run away. Alright, you bunch of dicks. You fucked up Vikings. But we are getting mana back extremely quickly, and looking, I mean, granted this is level 20, but when you can see that in one blast, which has, you know, a 6-second cooldown overall, you just cleared an entire wave, essentially. It's a little bit ridiculous how much he can put out and what he can do. And the 14-second cooldown, the only 2 charges there as baseline, you can kind of move it forward and go between them, kind of like a Gazlo idea, because he is a builder unit. It is going to keep that same idea or same concept. The slow active, and you can rail into them for huge damage. You can just kind of taunt them around. Just kind of walk back and forth, lay down your turret where you choose to do so, rail into them at any time. Which obviously right now, untalented, it's not going to do all that much. And your mount ability, which is ridiculously fast, to be able to get out of the way if no one's right on top of you dealing that damage. Very fun hero to play, and his movement speed is funny, to say the least. Now, let's go ahead and hop right into the talents, because we did go through quite all of his basic abilities and traits and all that kind of stuff. And again, just getting used to that overall feel of laying something down and blowing it up. It's like setting down a mine and then detonating that yourself. At level 1, Echo Pulse, Disruption Pulse returns to Probius after 1.25 second delay, dealing 75% on the way back. So you can kind of think of Cho'Gall's orb. It's a bowling ball. It goes out and it comes back. So we hit them and oh, it does just that little bit. And you can use your Z ability, chase them down.
Double kill.
And while we really can't soak any damage of any kind, we can do that though. The boomerang, if you will, coming back for us there. Now, very interesting talent. It's it wouldn't seem all that interesting really. At a normal, just looking at level 1, it's kind of cool. It's all right. It increases your poke damage a bit because it is long range. You are a very low health character, so you want to keep away from people at the majority of the time. But it gets way more interesting later on. But let's go ahead and reset the talents. Warp Resonance at level 1 as well, which is a quest talent. Hitting heroes with Warp Rift Explosions does gain you rewards. The first one, after hitting 10 heroes with Warp Rift Explosions, increasing explosion damage by 100. So at level 20, which is what we should be at, let's go ahead and reset this a little bit because it got a little bit mixed up on where it was going to be at. So at level 20, we are doing 693 damage on each explosion, and that is going to switch it up to 793 with only hitting 10 explosions on heroes, and multiple heroes do count, not for individual explosions. After hitting 20, you gain an additional charge on your W, which is a huge basis of where all your damage is going to be coming from, which you can set these offset very slightly and detonate both of them for massive, massive burst damage. You can see that activates there on Olaf, but he does use that ability, the dick. Alright, let's go ahead and lay down a pylon and get some mana back. Now, you do want to have pylons up and around you at all times, but if shit goes down, or if you're low on mana, that is absolutely where you want to be having it available. So you need to be managing your cooldowns. Pretty important for his playstyle to have your trait available, or to have a pylon near or available to you. Now, Warp Resonance, again, so dealing that damage is increased. Damn it, I just reset instead of completing quests. Okay. So, laying it down now, we're going to go ahead and set that out there, and boom, 790, well, no, that was, let's see, let it activate, target dummy, go away with the damage, there we go, and 1191 burst at level 20, which is pretty goddamn good. For one, considering you can end up getting 3 of them available to you, it is pretty substantial. You can hit a large amount of burst damage out on heroes of your choice. Now we have no mana. Again, we just kind of hit that, and he's going to be getting away. So it does increase your overall burst damage. However, Echo Pulse is going to marry a little bit better later on. Though Warp Resonance is pretty solid, especially for tight corridors or tight maps, because you're able to lay down 3 of these fucking things, which lined up like that, and Vikings are dead.
Triple kill.
Oh, it's satisfying. Oh, it feels just fucking awesome. Granted, nobody's going to be dumb enough to walk into shit like that over and over and over again, but you can put out a fucking hurting on a boss or a camp, though you're definitely not going to be a solo camp machine, because you have basically no fucking health. At level 20, at least, who knows what's going on here at the time being. I don't know what's going on with that, but 2,700 health, and that's not very much at all. Now, the last one that we do have as an option at level 1, Gather Minerals. Enemy heroes and minions drop... God damn it, quit cleaving. Drop minerals when killed. Collect them to increase the health of photon cannons by 8 up to 560. After collecting 70 minerals, photon cannons deal 25% more damage, can see over obstacles, and reveal nearby cloaked units. The reveal's pretty awesome, because stealthies are going to be an extreme counter to Probius. And that's going to be a bit of a difficulty. The only thing is that the range to them are so tight that it makes it a little bit difficult. Like right now, we can set out a pylon out here, and we can definitely set this so it's a little bit further range, but you're having to stay right next to it. And it's only up for 11 seconds, and it's not like it's blasting enemies down like ridiculously so to make that overly worth it.
Rather entertaining.
And on top of that, it's got a huge cooldown, 15 seconds. So you have 4 seconds of downtime immediately, regardless of whatever you're going to be doing. And the damage isn't all that consistent. And on top of that, it doesn't prioritize heroes over minions or mercenaries or anything like that. Whatever comes into range first is what it's going to be shooting. and that's it. There's nothing else to that. There's nothing else that's going to change that. It's just frustrating in that kind of capacity, and there's nothing you can do to change that. The increased damage is pretty nice, but again, it's a little bit difficult to see that really coming through as a substantial usefulness. It is going to have more bulk, but you're not really going to need all that bulk sitting around there. So personally, Echo Pulse, because it is going to marry later, and you'll see where that comes into play. At level 4, Photon Barrier. While a Photon Cannon is alive and powered, Probius gains 30 spell armor. Cool. It is cool, but you have a lot of... I mean, you have 4 seconds of downtime. You have to make sure that your barriers are going to be up, or excuse me, your pylons are going to be available to you. Those are on a 14-second cooldown. If the enemy team is paying attention, they're going to be wailing into you and doing massive damage and cutting down all of your resources available to you, which can be extremely frustrating. Now and again, easy chase. And that's what's going to be kind of nice with Probius, is that chasing people with Worker Rush is going to be pretty interesting, because the likelihood that they're going to pay attention and turn around when they need to, pretty low in my opinion. But Turbocharge is going to be the option that I personally enjoy. That is, Worker Rush grants an additional passive 20% movement speed while in a power field, and its cooldown is reduced by 20 seconds, so in half. So needing to get away, or if you see someone engaging, or if you see a stealthy like lining up and getting ready to jump in on you, woo, you're just fucking gone. There's no way that they're going to catch up to you unless they hit that damage, and still, you're going to be within your field, and this is just baseline right here. The movement speed that you gain from this is insane. You can reposition yourself very, very quickly, launch these out, get around the enemy team, and be able to launch out massive damage where they're not able to do a whole lot against it. And it's not like you can shoot these down like pufferfish or anything like that. They are static on the ground. There's not anything the enemy can do to disrupt those, other than kill you. Now, the last option that we are going to have at level 4 is going to, so again, Echo Pulse, Shield Capacitor. Gain permanent shields up to 10% of your max health, which again is not all that fucking much. But shields regenerate quickly as long as you haven't taken damage recently, which is, you know, it's a pretty good fucking option. It's a pretty cool option. It's just not the option that I'm going to be looking for. Now, I did mention that it is going to marry pretty well your level 1 talent with later tiers. Now, this is part of the combo right here, laying down one and even another one. So if you like fuck up and you only get through one of them, you can reposition and have it launch through that other one and detonate that as well. But that gets even more interesting at level 20, which you'll see in a little while here. So you can reposition yourself around in your own fields to be able to launch and still hit those damage points. Now, again, God, it's just fun. It's just fun to look at. Anyway, shield capacitor at 10%. It's pretty solid. You know, it's good. It's definitely good. You gain that shield, and that is going to be permanent. And as long as you're going to be around your pylons, you're probably not going to be taking a ton of damage because no one's going to want to come in. And you can get away pretty easily and gain those shields back very quickly. However, Turbocharge for me is going to be absolutely my pick, because that is a huge amount of movement speed around your pylons, which are an important part of your playstyle. So you should be fucking near those anyway. And launch that through. God, that just feels good. And look at that. Put it in front of you, and you're slow. Oh, you sons of bitches. You sons of bitches. All right. We'll go ahead and move on, though. At level 7, Particle Accelerator increases damage for each target hit by 10% up to a total of 40, and that does apply with minions as well. So you can see that last one hit 544, cleaving down that wave without even having to use our warp explosions here, and hits on the way back as well, and does both, which is very, very interesting mechanic, and increases that boomerang kind of feel that you want to have as that play style. The other option, Rift Shock. Hitting an enemy here with Warp Rift Explosion increases Probius' damage against them by 20% for 10 seconds. Real solid, and it's kind of a toss-up between these two. Personally, I think that Particle Accelerator is going to be the more useful on that shorter cooldown and on that poke. Overall, is going to be doing that increased damage, and that lower cooldown is an extreme incentive to keep that up and have it available to you, and man, that just feels good. Tower Defense, the other option, the Photon Cannon damages an enemy hero. Its cooldown is reduced by 1.25 seconds. So you do have a lot more uptime using that. However, again, it just doesn't feel right, if that makes sense. It doesn't feel all that impactful, and I don't think that that's going to be the best option for him. Now, the funny thing is that you can kind of line these up and back them off so that they can't really engage on you unless they want to get hit for some massive damage. And even then, with the boomerang effect of your Q, pretty interesting to keep them off you and deal that damage. But Particle Accelerator, my personal choice. At level 10, a couple options that are pretty cool. Pylon Overcharge. Let's go ahead and lay them down and show it off. Basically, it's going to be launching lasers at fucking everything around you. So, increase the size of pylon power fields and allow them to attack the enemies within it for 251 damage per second. Lasts for 10 seconds. And overall, they get shields equal to half of their maximum health. And it lasts for 10 seconds while it's on the ground. These Vikings didn't want to be all that nice and help me out there, so we're going to go ahead and toggle our fucking cooldowns. We are going to lay out another one here. We got another one available now, and boom. So you can see that they are launching it out and prioritizing heroes as they fucking should. And the damage you can put out and the area denial that you can gain is pretty fucking amazing with Pylon Overcharge. Definitely good for, again, something like Braxis, anything like that. Though, you do want to keep these safe, so it's a little bit bold to use them as something that's going to be attacking other teams or other members of the enemy team. Because of that, they're going to be focused down much, much easier, and it's going to create a bit of an issue there. But you can see it's big damage, very, very big damage, in small little bursts. It at least knocks them off and gives you the opportunity to slow them down with your rifts, warp rifts. Now, Nullgate is the other option, which I feel like actually marries better with everything else that we have. Echo Pulse at level 1, Turbo Charge level 4, 7 Particle Accelerator, and Nullgate at level 10. Project a barrier of negative energy in the target direction that lasts for 4 seconds. Enemies who touch the barrier take 146 damage per second and are slowed by 80% as long as they remain in contact. Now, this does have that same drag kind of targeting, the vector targeting, as like Zool. So right here, you can launch it out in that kind of direction, lay this on top of them, and then you're just launching Wharf Rifts all over the fucking place on top of people. And again, just massive damage going out on the enemy team. They're not able to really do a whole lot about it. Oh, he jukes it there. Very, very interesting mechanic and pretty low cooldown at 40 seconds. So definitely something worthwhile. Definitely something to be thinking about picking up. Because you can direct it, it is going to be able to slow them substantially, regardless if they're in the middle of it and running away immediately or not. But in those tight corridors, that's where Probius is going to excel. And it's incredible what you can do to set that up. So again, just setting that down, they're not really able to move. You set down the Warp Rift right in front of him. Again, he's just kind of in a weird situation, and Olaf, the tankiest of the bunch, is the only one that's able to survive that. Now, at level 13, you gain a little bit of your overall, let's say, flexibility, I would say. Aggressive Matrix, Pylon's power field grants allied heroes 20% increased attack damage. So if your team is very auto-attack heavy, absolutely be going for Aggressive Matrix. Power Overflowing, Pylon's power field grants allied heroes 10% increased spell power and 2 mana per second. So increasing your team's overall damage, again, in a different way. And, of course, adding that mana regen, which is quite substantial. Now, again, laying that down. Oh, no, you're stuck, Olaf, you fat fuck. And we can kind of follow up there. Not the best kind of application of that. Ideally, you want to have some of these down prior to launching that out, and then you can kind of use that to your advantage. But if you have a mage or two on your team that you trust a little bit more, power overflowing absolutely is going to help out. Shield battery, power fields grant shields 71 per second up to 284. Shields persist for 4 seconds when you're exiting that field. So we can kind of take that, and we're in the fields, and we gain that, and yeah, it's there. You know, it's about that same 10% shielding. So you could use a shield battery along with your other shield as well, which actually, let's take a look at that real quick. Echo Pulse, shield capacitor, particle accelerator, Nullgate, and shield battery. Yeah, look at that, it works. The shield stack, so roughly 20% of your overall health is going to be available to you in shields. God, that's such good damage. And you are going to gain that back fairly quickly when you are out of combat. So not too bad, but more than likely Aggressive Matrix or Power Overflowing, depending on your team comp, is going to be much, much, much better use of your time. Gravity Well at, Quantum Entanglement at level 16. Enemies continue to be slowed for 3.5 seconds after the last contact with a Warp Rift, which is 20%. Pretty substantial, but not that substantial any further. especially with Lucio in the Nexus. It's making it a little bit harder, and that 20% not as impactful. So, you know, it's alright. Gravity Well. Enemies are slowed more the closer they are to the center of the warp rift, up to a maximum slow of 60%. And this is a very, very generous area here that they're slowed for substantially more. You can see that they're just slowed, and because the center is so huge, it's so massive in that area that it's insane. You're constantly dealing that increased slow, and on top of that, you can slow them right on their face again, and then be launching into them. There's nothing they can really do about it, and you can just dance around them. It's hysterical what you can do and how trolly you can be with Probius, and that playstyle is very, very attractive to me, and I think it's hysterical, the things that you can do with Probius. Behind the wheel, if you will. Now, the other options we do have Repulsor. Enemies hit by a warp rift explosion are knocked away from the center. So kind of think of Zarya's ult, except not as... not something you can rely on as that utility as much. Let's go to reset talents. Echo Pulse, Turbocharged, Particle Accelerator, Null Gate, I think is going to be more for setting yourself up, though the Denial for Pylon Overcharge is good for certain areas or maps. Going to go Aggressive Matrix, Gravity, or excuse me, Repulsor is what we wanted to show off. That is right. So we lay it down, and, you know, it knocks them away, and it's a pretty good distance. But you are going to have to rely on those knockbacks, which is pretty fucking funny when that happens. Yeah, well, I can keep up with you, you fuck. And here it comes back, which is the fun part about the boomerang talent, or part of the utility to it, is, hey, maybe I fucked up, maybe I need to bring it back here. It's like, oh, okay, well, I can throw it out, lay one down, and then right behind them, it hits that. If you get the timing correct, I will say. Because other than that, it's a little bit difficult. But, let's say, launch it out, lay this down, and now they walked into it, and now they're knocked back. Ugh, it's really satisfying, and the ways that you can use his abilities in tandem is really fucking awesome, and it feels cool to be able to do that. Last option is enemies hit by Warp Rift detonations have their spell power reduced by 35% for 3 seconds. So if you're facing a mage-heavy team, possibly an option. Gravity Well, 100 fucking percent though, is going to be what I'm going for. It is fantastic what you can do with this ability. Aggressive Matrix, Gravity Well, and the slows and the control that you get, in particular with Probius, because he is so fragile, you want to make sure that you have some kind of survivability. And again there, oh god, it's so good. And then again the slow on top of him, and he's going to get away with his talents. But that is the Vikings with their massive escape abilities. And oh, he almost got him anyway because he walked into it. Now, level 20 is where shit gets a little bit goofy. Construct additional pylons goes along with the overcharge. Yeah, pylon overcharge. And that is can now have up to 3 active pylons and increase the damage of pylon overcharge by 25%. So again, that denial is going to be huge. Having 3 turrets shooting against something is fucking terrifying. It really is. But god, look at how far away we are when we can launch those out. You set it down, that's your only somewhat risky part, and then it's there for 9 fucking seconds. That's insane. Slowing down, controlling the battlefield. It's like Chromie's slowing sands, but you can lay it out wherever you feel like. 2 to 3 charges of it, wherever you want to. And look at this. It's insane. Even the minions are fucking slowed down by that. Now, the interesting, this is going to get really fucking ridiculous, but Gatekeeper, indefinite duration while in pylon power field. So if we are in this reasonable area here, we can lay this down, and it is just going to stay there permanently. So again, the zone control kind of theme to his kit and his abilities are fucking ridiculous. So we're going to go ahead and pop that back up. And now that we took the talent, it's just going to stay here indefinitely. They're not going to be able to move in here at all. Because instantly when they do that, oh no, you're instantly stuck. That's 80%, and you're just fucking dead. And what are you going to do, walk away? No, you're not. You can't. You can't move. That's 80%, which is fucking ridiculous. And it makes that ultimate really an attractive option. And already with the abilities that you get out of that, it's incredible. If it's either end is within the power field, it just stays there. So they have to kill the power field for this to drop ever, which is disgusting. And you can launch this out the entire way. So the entire minion wave is slowed 80% repeatedly. And they're not able to do anything. It's fucking ridiculous. He's not broken by any means. He's not overly overly balanced or overtuned or any goofy shit like that. He's just a really smartly designed character, I feel like, and it's a really cool ability to do that. Let's go ahead and set this down, set that goes away. Shoot 'em up at level 20 as well. So again, Echo Pulse, Turbocharge, Particle Accelerator, Nullgate personally, Aggressive Matrix or Power Overflowing, whichever one you choose, Gravity Well, of course, and Shoot 'em up. Hitting a warper splits Disruption Pulse, into several additional pulses. So hitting that causes 4 additional pulses that deal 50% damage to be fired from the impact location. So what that is going to look like here is, boom, those little shotgun blasts that pop off of it here. And those are going to launch out in an aggressive direction away from where you hit the explosion. So pretty interesting. It does do pretty substantial damage because it is, 50% of that. But there's definitely going to be a better option here. As goofy as that sounds and as amazing as Gatekeeper is, the talents that we've picked and built towards are going to make this look intense. Now, this is solely and exclusively, which Probius really should only be used for, area denial or lockdown maps. But this is going to make him go from, pretty good and really interesting to just absurd. Power Overflowing, Gravity Well, and Probius Loop. Whenever a Rift Explosion hits 2 or more enemy heroes, a new Warp Rift is spawned in the same location. Now that is why all the way back at level 1 we took Echo Pulse, that boomerang, because right here they have 2 heroes in that area. It hits, it spawns, and it hits again, and it spawns another one. So instantly we've had 3 for the price of 1, and then can immediately hit that again, which is absolutely ridiculous what you can do with that. And you can just kind of wait. You can lock down areas, so especially like something like this particular area here. What are you waiting for someone to come through? Well, you're just going to be slowed by a lot if you come through. If you decide to poke your head through, I'm going to hit you with some massive damage. And if there's more than one of you there, you're going to get fucked. You're absolutely going to get torn apart by this ability. And again, right there, we fucked that up. Yeah, how did we fuck that up? Alright, well, let's let them push in here. They're going to do that pretty quickly. And here we go. Now, the interesting thing is if we lay down multiples, it spawns multiples. Oh, it's so ridiculous. It's just so absurd to me that that's even a thing that can happen, that it's just funny. Like, look at that. We didn't even barely use any mana or anything, and we're not even anywhere near any of our pylons. Oh, I have 2 cooldowns off. Okay, fair enough. But the idea is that you would have a pylon set up, you would set it down, you would wait for the enemy to engage a little bit. That one didn't hit 2, so that's unfortunate. But guaranteed 2 on the way back, guaranteed 2. And again, we just absolutely crushed them from massive distance, which is just kind of ridiculous, honestly, of what you're able to do. I'm gonna lay down a pylon. We're gonna slow them down here. Oh, and they still can't move, which is funny. Woo! Oh, we're gonna die. Oh, that's just interesting. And it just lays it down, and for 9 seconds you're slowed from that, which is just fucking funny. It's just good, and for the area denial, it's insane, which complements his entire play style, which is just fun. It just feels fun and feels awesome. Honestly, I feel that the turret is really underwhelming. And there's so much else that's here that you can really dig into and deal that massive damage and feel like you're doing something for your team that's very productive, because it absolutely is productive. You give monstrous control over the battlefield, ridiculous burst damage, and there's not a whole lot the enemy team can really do about it. Like, oh, what are you gonna do, Olaf? Are you gonna run away? Well, now you're fucking slowed, and I can just stand here and auto attack you if I feel like it. It's just nuts. It's just fun, and it's a cool play style, and it's definitely something new for the Nexus for sure. One on the way there, one on the way back. Yeah, boys. And no. Oh, I thought I had that one. That's unfortunate. But it's just fun, and I can't stop using these riffs together because I think they're hysterical. And I mean, granted, yeah, you're not going to have everyone line up and stack together, but damn if you're not going to be able to catch a couple people off every now and again, and that double burst, which is already pretty fucking massive, is going to be just awesome. It's incredible. So if you're thinking that one way is dealing 842 damage. And that is, I don't even think I hit him directly with that. Oh, it didn't reset. Hang on. Alright, let it reset here real quick. There we go. Let's let the damage drop off. There it is. Hit him for 1,500 damage on one shot. Granted, I think that's at level 24, but still, the idea is still that it's a huge burst damage. And if you can clack someone for like, 2,000-3,000 damage, that's pretty fucking insane. And again, right here, we have this massive control over the battlefield. And he's... Oh, come on now. What? There's a turret. Yeah, there it is. Oh, it feels good. Alright. Anyway, that is Probius. God, I'm just having fun. I just keep, like, stop paying attention, and I'm just like, oh, just throwing everything out. Because this is not even with, like, cooldowns off right now. This is just straight base how he performs, which is just insane. He is a very, very fragile character, so you can't really tank any damage. He's going to get bursted out almost immediately by any stealthy in particular, and the shield talents, they're really not going to do anything for you. He's just going to die. If you get caught out by a stealthy, you're just dead. You can just kind of hope to lay something down and lay some areas out. Use your null gate to kind of... block that out, possibly go the reveal talent if you're up against more than one. But in particular on maps like Braxis, some others, Garden Terror has some really tight corridors. It's going to be absolutely absurd. And again, you can just kind of chase people down with an aggressive use of your mount ability, which is on a much lower cooldown, mind you, at this point. And again, mana is no issue at all for Probius, as long as you're going to be hitting your pylons every now and again. But thank you everybody for stopping by and checking out the brand new hero. He did come out today, or actually yesterday by the time that you're going to be seeing this, and I'm just going to keep playing him. I'm going to play him a shitload this weekend on our stream, and it's going to be a fucking blast. I'm so looking forward to playing this character, and especially in quick match environments, it's going to be absolutely absurd. And the clusterfuck that is going to be this hero is going to be pretty damn funny. And, but, everyone, thank you again for stopping by. I've said that already probably 4 times because I keep getting distracted by the fucking little robot that I love so much. But you all have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we will see you all next time in the Nexus.